What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday! Oh my goodness.
Right, we are there.
October 2nd, welcome to Daily Gaming News. I am Kaisa.
I am Marrone, and we are the Daily Gaming News channel here on Twitch as we take an hour to cover everything going on in the gaming industry. Kaisa, how are you this fine day?
I'm good. I'm pretty good. I got a lot of sleep last night. I've got something exciting in my mug today. Wonder if anyone's going to guess it. What about you?
Same here. I've also got something exciting in my mug that has never been in the Dice mug before, so on the lookout for all of you there. And then played some Squadrons last night, and I was like, I'm already in love with this game.
I'm glad it's living up to the hype so far.
Yeah, 100%. I highly recommend it if you are a Star Wars individual or a flight simulator individual or both. Gotta play it. 100%.
100%. What's up to everyone in the chat? Thank you so much for joining us. Early gang, lots of familiar faces. If anyone's new in here, please feel free to, hang out in the chat. We answer questions as we go.
But we are going to be talking about a few topics today as we pushed one of our stories from yesterday to today, talking about everything we know of God of War Ragnarok.
Then we're going to get into details about Fall Guys Season 2, which begins next week.
I just saw the comment immediately from Kane. Is it Jin? No, Kane, it's not.
No.
We're also going to be talking about how World of Warcraft's expansion Shadowlands has been delayed and that they will be offering refunds following that announcement.
We'll be discussing Apex Legends and how it's finally getting crossplay, which we thought it had crossplay all along, but I guess not.
News to us. Also going to be talking about a game that we are actually excited about with the PlayStation 5, that game Returnal. And we're going to be going through its features and mind-bending story details that have come out.
Ubisoft admits that Hyper Scape is too hard and kind of boring and promises big changes, which is kind of hilarious.
It really is. We're also going to be talking about a wonderful new feature that Twitch is offering with Twitch's soundtrack.
We'll get into the Nvidia delaying the RTX 3070 launch to October 29th.
And then it is Friday, so at the end, we are going to be talking about what are we playing this weekend.
And as always, what's in the mug? Feel free to guess what's in the mug. I said this was exciting. It wasn't necessarily more exciting than usual, but every day is exciting.
That's true. Every day is exciting in our mugs. I'm just putting out there that yes, this hasn't been in the mug before.
You got some guesses in here. I love the strawberry acai refresher. I don't even know what that would be. That sounds like something I would want to drink, though.
That sounds delicious. I'm ready.
But let's get into our first topic of the day about everything we know about God of War Ragnarok.
So, God of War has long been one of the most beloved PlayStation exclusive franchises since its 2005 debut, and developer Sony Santa Monica breathed new life into that franchise in 2018 with a reboot that transformed the game's ruthless protagonist Kratos into a stoic father reckoning with his past.
Now, sometime after the release of the PlayStation 5, the demigod and his son Atreus will continue their journey in God of War Ragnarok. Sony Interactive Entertainment confirmed that the follow-up to the critically acclaimed God of War for PS4 is on the way. There was little doubt that a sequel to the reboot was on the way at all. Game director Cory Barlog dropped a number of juicy hints that Santa Monica has long been working on the new chapter for the series. But Dad of Boy fans finally received official confirmation that a new God of War game is just over the horizon.
I love that name, by the way. And what is up, Walligator? Welcome. So Sony hosted a PlayStation 5 showcase on September 16th that culminated, ending with the teaser of God of War Ragnarok. Now, the title won't make it in time to be a next-gen launch title, but it will be heavy-hitting. It will be a heavy-hitting release that will anchor the PlayStation 5's Year One exclusives. And we're going to go through everything we know about God of War Ragnarok.
When is the release date going to be? Santa Monica has only revealed that God of War Ragnarok will come to PS5 in 2021 for now. This release date window might have come as a surprise for many fans who believe the sequel was a few years away, given that the most recent God of War was only released a little over 2 years ago.
Now, it is possible that Sony Santa Monica has been working on God of War Ragnarok since the release of that 2018 reboot. The developer was spotted posting multiple job listings as far back as mid-2019, many of which vaguely alluded to the fact that the company was cooking up a new God of War title.
To top it off, Barlog revealed the God of War writing team had an excess of plot points and story ideas it had not included in the 2018 release during an interview with Kotaku. He even stated that the team had enough material for 5 new games, and later clarified on Twitter that he was exaggerating, but he reassured fans that a follow-up would happen only days after the launch of the reboot.
That's a pretty big exaggeration there.
Yeah.
Right? So it is possible that Santa Monica immediately began work on Ragnarok, but it needs to be expected that probably is late 2021 for the release date for that title. Now, exceptions for the game will be high given the reboot's universally positive reviews, so it is likely Santa Monica will spend as much time as Sony allows them in order to make it not seem rushed.
God of War Ragnarok could cost $69.99 when it's launched on the PS5 in 2021. All of the first-party titles that will launch with the PS5, like Demon's Souls and Destruction All-Stars, were revealed to cost $70 in a PlayStation blog post following Sony's September 16th next-gen showcase. This suggests all first-party games moving forward will be priced at $70.
Boo. So what is... Yeah, boo. So what is God of War Ragnarok's story? Well, Kratos battles Baldur, the Norse god of light, one final time at the end of the game. Spoilers for all of you, I'm sorry. After defeating him, Kratos and Atreus travel to Jotunheim to scatter the ashes of Atreus' mother, Faye. Now, that's where they discover that Faye was actually a giant called Laufey, making Atreus half god and half giant. We also learn that he has another name, Loki. Now, as Kratos and Atreus journey back home, Atreus peppers his father with questions about what his true identity could mean, about his mother's legacy, and Kratos deflects most of them, almost perfectly setting the stage for that sequel.
Don't know if this is a spoiler or not, because I still haven't played the game, so I don't know, maybe mute your speakers just in case. The death of Baldur...
It's been out for a while.
Okay. The death of Baldur might have also teased Kratos' next major challenge in God of War Ragnarok. The cataclysmic event, also known as the Twilight of the Gods, is a prophecy in Norse mythology that is said to bring about the death of many gods.
Now, God of War has played fast and loose with mythological lore throughout its history. We all know that. Now, Baldur's death is the first mark of the coming of Ragnarok. Plus, a secret cutscene at the end of the game shows Thor coming to confront Kratos, suggesting that something big has just been put into action, and there is honestly a lot for Santa Monica to work with for a sequel.
Not gonna lie, every time I see God of War Ragnarok, I just think Thor Ragnarok, as in the movie, which was great.
I was typing that when setting up the show today. I was like, Thor Ragnarok. Nope, it's God of War Ragnarok.
No. I was like, I understand Thor Ragnarok hasn't, they don't have a monopoly on this, legends, but I'm like, could you have called it something else?
Yeah, and immediately I gotta be there with Alcatal right there, is just hearing the price point immediately being like, we're gonna be at $70 a game, which means in some areas the taxes is gonna push that up to almost 80. Yeah. What? No, there's so much pushback from the gaming community on this, and it's just like developers and distributors are like, eat it. It's just what it feels like.
Yeah, I feel like we're turning into Australia. Like, aren't games super expensive in Australia, for some reason with the conversion and I guess like shipping over there or something like that. But yeah, it just seems like, oh, this is the inevitable happening that games are going to be so expensive. And it kind of just makes me think about, PCs are more expensive to game on than consoles, but PC games generally aren't, super crazy pricey, I feel.
No, and this is where I think what we are probably going to start to see is these games not turn over the money like they used to. With these price points going up, something like God of War Ragnarok, people will be like, yeah, I'm really excited. And then launch day, the numbers just aren't that as strong as they would be in the past, because people are like, I'm waiting till that price comes down. I'm waiting until a sale happens before I play it, unless I buy the PlayStation 5 in a bundled God of War edition. But I see this. That's the one thing that stood out to me from this. And I was like, God of War Ragnarok, this is all crazy. $69.99, I could just knock it out of my head.
And I've noticed gamers being more, I guess, particular with how they spend their money, or at least for me, it's like, okay, I bought one AAA title, not gonna buy another for a while. Like, this is what I decided to do. Or someone came into stream the other day and was like, oh, I bought Animal Crossing, so I can't spend money on anything else because I spent my, $60 there. And people are being a lot more precious. They want to read a lot of reviews to make sure that, what they're buying is really worth the hype, really worth the dollars that they're spending. And I think it's just leading to a lot of gamers gamers having to be more, choosy when it comes to what games they're actually going to buy.
Yeah, and one of the things that I would say is if they were to just make, the PlayStation Plus service free and these prices be at $69.99, it might be less of a burden for a lot of those who want to play the multiplayer games, get the DLC and the constant updates, with PS Plus. So maybe that's what could take place here. But yeah, like you really got to know the game is good. Like, and this is something too. Are we going to get back to demos? Are we going to get back to that place where people can play games like on Steam, not like it, and get refunded? Because that's not a tiny amount of money that we've now just pushed up an extra $10 to $15 after taxes, and just think that everybody's going to turn around and shell that out.
Artistic says, I'm already prepared to pay $300 for everything God of War. That makes one person in the chat. I love how there are still diehard fans out there, But, as Bad says, only going to buy games that you 100% know you like, and are like special, that don't come around often, that are really going to be an investment. Maybe we're going to see more demos again. It's just kind of unfortunate that they're so expensive. It's not like seeing movies, where movies are kind of expensive, but, I know a lot of people who still go to see a lot of movies, versus games. It does seem like you really do have to pick and choose here.
Yeah, it's for me, that's where I'm at. I mean, that's it. I just got Squadrons, right? And Squadrons was $29.99. Like, if now we're saying, hey, I want to play this new God of War game on my PlayStation 5, gonna wait a while until after launch before I'm making that decision. Because, if I get that feeling in any way, like this game isn't going to fulfill me to the expense of almost $80 worth, then yeah, I would rather take 6 months, 7 months before I make the purchase when it drops down $20, $30. And that's just overall not good for the health of the gaming industry as a whole. And we've been talking about that repeatedly is it's like, it's funny. This segment is about God of War Ragnarok, what we know. And it's what we know is that price is too damn high.
That's all we're talking about, in our debrief of this news. I also think that with the price hike, I don't think people are thinking like, oh, well, the price is going up, but the game is going to be the same. I think a lot of people do expect that when the price is really high, that there's going to be more content, or that the game is going to be really long versus, a shorter story, or, less things to play through. Gamers don't want to spend, $60, $70 on a game and burn through it in 10 hours. They're going to want to have a lot of content in there. And I think it just ends up like setting expectations or setting the bar higher. And I don't know if all these companies can deliver or can achieve that.
Yeah, 100%. I outside of the, the annoyance of this price, information, I'm excited for this game because I think this is one of those steps in the direction of maybe we'll start to see God of War games come out a lot sooner. And that's something that is exciting because I already thought what I saw on God of War for PlayStation 4 felt next gen. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's easy to just take that code of God of War 4, throw it over to the next gen and increase it in all the, features that come with the PlayStation 5. And all you're doing at that point is just storytelling and coding for the game afterwards. So if there's that type of transition, we could start to see these games in sooner iterations than before, which is like 4 or 5 years before we get any glimpse of another God of War game.
Right, that would be super cool. I mean, I was surprised hearing that there is the next installation already. I felt like God of War is still pretty new, and game sequels take a long time. I hope that's a trend that we're going to see. It's easier to port some of the old code or whatever that you've already set up in the combat system and easily bring that over to a sequel. I hope that's a thing that we see more in the future.
I would love that to be the case. And Sony, if you do happen to watch DGN, guys, come down on those prices, please. Go back to the way it was. It's okay. It's okay.
For our next bit of news, Fall Guys Season 2 is beginning next week.
Season 2 of Fall Guys, y'all. Who's ready for those beans? Because it is time to get epic as Season 2 prepares to launch with a Swords and Sorcery season. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout Season 2 was shown off recently, and now we know when to expect it to begin. The studio announced that it starts on Thursday, October 8th. And in the meantime, we can go ahead and score some extra points.
Developer Mediatonic announced the news in a tweet, which tied the upcoming season to Halloween with mention of a curse. The theme of the season isn't explicitly around the spooky holiday, though. As previously announced, it is themed around epic quests. That means a giant castle setting and costumes like a dragon, knight, Viking, wizard, and witch costumes.
And the tweet also announced that as Season 1 draws to a close, you can claim a double fame points, and you can rack up those extra points while you can before the next season starts.
Meanwhile, YouTube Gaming has announced that it will host a Fall Guys Season 2 charity event with a $100,000 prize going to the United Nations Children's Fund, also known as UNICEF. That will begin at 11 a.m. Pacific on Friday, October 9th, which is the day after the season kicks off. The company said it will debut the new content like new costumes, emotes, and levels.
And during his appearance at Gamescom, Fall Guys lead designer Joe Walsh thanked fans for the game's success and promised that much more content is in the works following Season 2, and also read, there is still yet no plan for more consoles to get the game anytime soon.
I think this is really exciting. I like how it's not explicitly a Halloween theme, but it pretty much is. Also with the UNICEF charity donations, I'm really glad that they're, still going forward with more donations. And also I know UNICEF does a lot of like trick or treat for UNICEF, and that's also a Halloween thing. This is a Halloween season.
100%.
I decided.
And they're owning it, and I can't wait to see what all the costumes are going to look like. What are the different outfits and Halloween costumes that they'll be giving you, and the upgrades that will come with this. I think there's going to be so much thematically here that's going to be a lot to pull from. I am hoping, because one of the biggest complaints about Fall Guys and anybody who plays it was how fast it becomes repetitive. So hopefully they've added enough to it where that is broken up this season.
I hope so. I hope that there's more stages or maybe some variety in stages, because if I play Fall Guys for a few hours, I do some of the same stages over and over and over, even though it's supposed to be random. It feels like I'm kind of just doing the same ones. I've heard a lot of people, want more from the music or even just like altering old stages and adding something new to make it more difficult, does help keep it fresh. So I hope we're going to see kind of an overhaul, because I do think some people, are getting kind of fatigued by it, or once you kind of know the tips and tricks to make it seem a lot easier and a lot more winnable, I think people do get bored if the game's too easy.
Yeah, I do too. I love the simplicity of the game, and I love just the overall wholesomeness of the game. So that is what brings you in. But like you said, you never want it to be a thing where it's like, oh, I'm only going to play this game for like an hour or two, and then I've gotten the experience. That's never anything that you want. You understand it with like something like virtual reality, which we've talked about, but you never want it with this like standalone console PC game type experience. So I am looking forward to seeing what these new modes are, these new additions are, and hopefully maybe we'll start to get some of those those challenges that we've seen in other games, that there's like enough of a variety of challenges to go after and get really cool unlocks for that. Hopefully they start implementing some of that stuff too.
That would be really cool if there were like a challenges like get 100 tails in tail tag overall or something like that. I think that would be really cool to see, or like even stats of like what's your best stage, like what are you most likely to qualify on, things like that. So to like keep people engaged, because they have a really good thing going for it. Like the core of this game is great, but as you said, if it gets too repetitive, then you can't have a lot of playtime. You can't have a lot of people, playing this game for an extended period of time.
And that's the truth. And we talked about this before coming onto the stream, because we were talking about, hey, Fall Guys Season 2 there's a lot of commentary like, oh, the game is dead. And the game isn't dead. There's still so many active players on it. Just because you don't see top streamers streaming Fall Guys doesn't mean the game is dead. And something that I love to get behind are developers that seem to be morally driven developers, ones who want to make the world a better place. And these guys over at Devolver Digital are those types of people. We can see it in how they've handled this game. We can see it in their continuation of using these, charity organizations to help bolster interest in donating, as well as, the fun that is Fall Guys. So get behind this in Season 2, and don't let people say it's dead. It's not dead. Qualm that.
It's not dead. Yeah, a lot of streaming feels like very flavor of the week, and a lot of people, kind of gauge what the hottest game is based on what's trending on Twitch, which, sometimes, is accurate, but oftentimes, isn't. Or if, the top creators end up going to something else, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, no one's playing Fall Guys anymore because the top streamers aren't playing it. You can still play it. You can do your own thing. There are a lot of people playing this game. The matchmaking is still super fast. If anyone's been hopping into the game recently, so there's still a ton of people on it. If you like it, play this game. If you're sick of it, hopefully season 2 has updates for you.
Same, yeah. And I would hope soon they get crossplay out, because with PlayStation 4 and PC, it would be great if they get crossplay. They did great with the anti-cheatus Big Eatus event, which was awesome. As I've been playing Fall Guys, I have not gotten into a lobby with a cheater, so that has been really refreshing to see. And I couldn't agree more. Hopefully this event will reignite that interest that is there with the variety that they need to bring.
But our next topic is about an event that is delayed, as World of Warcraft expansion Shadowlands has been delayed to later this year.
There is an official Twitter post from Blizzard regarding World of Warcraft from their official World of Warcraft Twitter account, and we are going to go ahead and dive into what they have said on their tweet.
So their update on Shadowlands, World of Warcraft tweets, I wanted to let you know that we're delaying the release of Shadowlands to later this year. And while we're still in the process of determining the right new date to launch, we felt it was important to let you know about this change in plans as soon as we could. This was an incredibly difficult decision for the team, as we're eager to get the expansion into your hands as you are to play it. But ultimately, we feel it's the right decision for the game and for our players.
Over the past several months of testing, we've made significant progress iterating on and polishing the core features and gameplay of Shadowlands. We're at a point where the zones, the campaign, the level up questing experience, and the story that we have to tell are essentially ready to share. We're excited by the covenants at the heart of the expansion, and it's been a thrill to see Torghast take shape in a fun new kind of World of Warcraft experience. Thanks in no small part to your input.
However, as everything started coming together and we've been listening to and building upon your feedback, it's become clear we need a little more time for additional polish and to balance and iterate on some interlocking pieces, particularly those related to the end game. Shadowlands is one of the most intricate expansions we've yet created, and while we've made great progress, the challenge of tuning the end game was compounded by the team having to work from home.
Blizzard has a commitment to quality. We believe Shadowlands will be something special, and we have heard from many of you who feel the same. We need this extra time to ensure that Shadowlands lives up to its full potential.
In the meantime, we're excited to announce that beginning October 13th, we will be releasing the Shadowlands pre-patch, which lays a lot of the groundwork for the expansion and includes a revamped character leveling, new player experience on Exile's Reach, and a host of new character customization options. And once we get closer to Shadowlands release, you'll be called upon to defend Azeroth against a resurgence of the Scourge during our pre-launch event.
Thank you for your support and passion, and for your continued help and feedback as we head towards the finish line. We'll see you in the Shadowlands soon.
And this was from John Haidt, executive producer of World of Warcraft. I've been hearing so much about Shadowlands. I also thought it was out. I guess I'm totally not as plugged into gaming as I thought. I was like, I thought this has been out for a while, but I guess not. I'm glad that they delayed it rather than put out, a subpar product. I'm personally totally cool with that. I don't know what you think, chat. What do you think, Marrone?
I think that is important, as we have discussed repeatedly on TGN. Don't rush a game out, because if it comes out and you've got a lot of bugs and it under-delivers, you do have a name like Blizzard behind it and a name like World of Warcraft, that is only going to hurt the overall image, which Blizzard is not necessarily, like they were once perceived in the gaming community. And this news that we have that follows up with this story goes to show it does seem that they are trying to make sure the community is happy, because they're going to allow you to refund Shadowlands following yesterday's delay announcement.
So following the announcement, Blizzard has now opened up refunds for those who pre-purchased the upcoming World of Warcraft Shadowlands expansion. We read the tweet saying that they're delaying the release to later this year, and they're still in the process of determining the new date to launch.
So while many have applauded Blizzard for making the decision to delay World of Warcraft's 8th expansion, others aren't happy. Rightfully so. It makes sense. So with this delay happening, they have taken off days from work to be able to play the expansion upon launch. And on social media, players have expressed their dismay over Blizzard announcing a delay only 3 weeks before its planned launch.
I've got to say, honestly, that's kind of funny to me that people are mad because they took off work because they were so diehard about this expansion. And
WoW is life.
I do think 3 weeks is pretty close to cut it. I'm sure they knew they needed to delay this, you know, with a bit more breadth than that. So from the looks of it, however, Blizzard is now allowing refunds for World of Warcraft players who have pre-ordered the expansion. As posted on Reddit, Blizzard has begun sending out emails offering a refund method. So the message reads, "We think you'll enjoy this expansion even more as a result of the extra work, but we understand if you're disappointed by the wait. If you'd prefer a refund, please visit our customer support site."
So for all of you WoW players out there, check for your emails, see if you've gotten that, or be on the lookout for it, or just go after it yourself. If you're like, look, I don't want to wait and I want my money back and I want to put it towards something else like Cyberpunk 2077 that's coming out soon, or Squadrons, you know, we could play together, who knows. But I just am, yeah, I am happy that they are going about it this way. I think it is a strong choice on their part, and given just the immediate backlash of a delay just 3 weeks out. If the game had come out and was a bad experience, imagine that reaction on the internet would have been 10 times worse.
Right, it would have been even worse, and people would have had, you know, bad sentiment towards Blizzard, being like, they don't even care about this game, you know, why they put out this, like, shoddy expansion. I think they did the right thing in delaying it and offering the full refund. I think that's a great move. Personally, if this happened to me, I'd be like, oh, no, that's fine, I'll still wait for it to come out, you know, I won't take the refund, but I think it's, you know, the right thing to do, you know, because people pre-ordered this game expecting it was going to come out on that certain date.
100%. And another right thing that a developer has done is something we already thought they did. Is it turns out this next event taking place with Apex Legends is going to officially make crossplay a thing.
Which I didn't realize. So players have been asking for crossplay ever since Apex Legends first launched, and starting next week, crossplay is finally happening. Players on PC, Xbox One, and PS4 will soon be able to party up and play together, and you'll be able to maintain a friends list with players from all 3 platforms.
This is also something that, like Kaisa was saying, we were kind of sitting there being like, wait, when, how? I thought because there is still going to be limitations even with this announcement. They just said, they announced that cross progression isn't going to be supported, and PC players will not be able to play in Xbox One or PlayStation 4 matches.
So here's how the rules work. Before crossplay, each platform would only play with and against other users on the same platform. Now all console players will play together, and PC players will continue to play only with other PC players. They said that we want to ensure that keyboard and mouse PC players are not being matched against console players for obvious reasons.
Now, if, however, an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 player and PC player party up together, they're going to be put in PC matches. This ensures that the console games don't have PC players in them, but allows for the console players to play with their PC friends if they opt in.
Crossplay is part of the Aftermarket Collection event, which includes new cosmetics and the limited time mode Flashpoint. And there's a trailer that's out for Flashpoint and the Aftermarket Collection event.
Now, the centerpiece of the Flashpoint mode, that trailer is happening here on screen, are that flashpoints have these massive zones dotted around towns and Kings Canyons. Flashpoints are special because they regenerate your health and shields over time to get you healed and ready for combat in a flash. Now, learn where these are quickly because healing items do not spawn in this mode. Flashpoints are crucial to helping you staying alive.
However, every other squad in the arena is going to have the same idea. These zones are going to create massive multi-squad fights that bring the feeling of a team deathmatch to Apex Legends. Additionally, the circle in this mode follows always be closing rules. It never stops closing, and it will always close on a flashpoint, making that final fight even more exciting. In lieu of medkits, you'll be able to craft Phoenix kits at crafting replicators for a price.
And if, ooh, hey, that's a sound one. If you are excited about this, that officially releases on October 6th. It is the Aftermarket Collection event, and that is when it'll kick off. Now, somebody just said something that I agree with. All just said, just make support for mouse and keyboard on console like Fortnite did. Or do what they do for Call of Duty, where if you play with controller on PC, you can go into controller only lobbies.
Right. Right. I think that's the better way to do it. I also understand why they would put, console players into PC matches, but I think ideally it would be more of a 50-50 split to try to at least kind of keep it even, because it seems like you're definitely just going to be at a disadvantage if you're a console player playing with your friend, even if you're really good.
100%. That's where, I'm sort of confused by the delay in getting crossplay out, but I'm also excited for what that means for Apex Legends, because I know there's a lot of people who they want to play together. Now you've got Xbox players and PlayStation 4 players being able to play together. I hope that the community, because I'm not a part of the Apex Legends community, I hope the community is talking about some of the things that we just talked about, because those limitations will probably, if you are a controller player, like, hey, I want to play with my PC friend, and then after 1 or 2 games in a PC lobby, you're like, I don't want to do mouse and keyboard anymore because I have controller. Right. They need to start working on these solutions like we're talking about. Otherwise, it could become a thing that it's like, yeah, you have this wonderful feature, but it's not exactly the feature we thought it was going to be. So I'm not too excited about playing, in crossplay with Apex Legends.
Right. It kind of feels like they officially will have crossplay, but it might not be ideal. I don't know if a lot of players are really going to use it, maybe just for, the social aspect to be able to play with their friends. I'm also really curious about this team deathmatch type, event that they have happening, because usually team deathmatch is its own mode, separate from Battle Royale. Usually for Battle Royales, a lot of players are playing the long game to be that, that last one standing, versus team deathmatch seems more of kind of like going all in and playing a lot more aggro. So I wonder if it's going to be fun. I'm also not a big Apex Legends player. If anyone in the chat is, let us know, what you think of this, what you think of this event.
Yeah, absolutely. Because with the variety of gameplay coming to Battle Royales, like we're seeing across the board, this is necessary, because I think we are hitting this ceiling of interest when it comes to what a Battle Royale is, why I want to play your Battle Royale, and what makes yours different than the others. We've got to start seeing more of this variety come up in options and in choices. And I think there needs to eventually come a place how they can do this. I know I didn't see it on Call of Duty, and I know it's hard for some games to do, but start getting to a playlist aspect of your Battle Royales features, where if you're going to play like a more hardcore version of your BR, that you still allow those communities, the members of that community that are like to play it that way, they get to play it that way, and it's not I have to wait every once or twice a year to be able to play this certain mode.
Totally. I think some of these, these game modes should be out for longer. Maybe they're not a part of the main game, but a part of the separate game, so you have that option. Vic says, I only play Apex when I take a break from League of Legends. Like, thinking about League of Legends, there's special modes like All for One or Earth mode, which are like super chaotic and a lot of people find super fun, but they're only out like a few times a year for like a week, it feels like. And everyone's like, why don't you just have this all the time? Like, I'd play way more League of Legends if this was always the thing.
Exactly. Like, that's just it. It's the... I would love to hear some developers comment on this. Like, where is the difficulty in maintaining that? I'm not aware of what are the obstacles to make that possible. Like, referencing, Warzone, there was essentially a classics trios mode that I was really hyped about when it came out, which was just like a hardcore, once you're dead, you're out. Right. And that's never come back. That's never been seen again. And it's been super unfortunate that you had a lot of people who loved a game mode and you've never brought it back and never seemed to want to bring it back. So where can we get to a space where we start to have, as a community, more influence on the modes that we enjoy more?
I'm kind of confused about that, because if people seem to like it and they've already, created that game mode, they've done the coding work, why not just bring it back? And it's appealing to, I guess more traditional Battle Royale players like me playing Fortnite. Like, I'm not used to respawn. I'm not even used to redeploy. So to have, respawn taken out, to have it be, a classic BR mode in Warzone is appealing to me, because I'm like, oh, this is more my play style, versus sometimes when I, play Warzone, people are like, oh no, you have to do all these strats. And I'm like, oh, I thought I knew how to play a Battle Royale, but I don't know how to play this.
Yeah, I thought I was well aware. And what's up, gamer? Welcome. I was seeing some of the comments, and I maybe it is the queue times thing. Maybe it is like if you have too many people queuing for this and it just wouldn't work out. It could stress the servers. I don't know. I've just kind of been bummed out at the fact that they have these modes that are really popular and people seem to like them, and then they just are like, that's all you get. You know, here's this one limited event. Like if this Apex Legends event does really well and people really like this team deathmatch mode, does it stay? You know, does it cement itself in the game?
I hope so. I hope we see more of that staying power. I don't know why you would want to take away, you know, something that gamers find fun. You know, maybe it is a server issue. I don't think I've really seen anything written online, like any official comments about, you know, why these game modes get pulled. It's just more of like, oh, it's not available anymore. GG. This can all be here.
Exactly how it feels. And by the way, I see some of the guesses going out there. I'll give one little hint since we are halfway through on what's in the mug this hour. Mine has no fruit flavoring whatsoever. So maybe that'll help out in that regard.
Oh, I'll give a hint too. Mine does. Mine is fruity.
There we go. So another story that we have to talk about is one of a game that we are excited about. Hopefully it doesn't get the announcement of being a $70 game, but this is that roguelite game that is coming out called Returnal, and here are some of the features and stories surrounding it.
Earlier this summer, the arcade masters at Housemarque announced their first true AAA project, Returnal. We know the PS5 exclusive will offer up Housemarque's trademark intense action and some interesting new roguelike elements, but more specific details have been rather hard to come by.
So there's a bit more detail about the story and the structure. So after crash landing on this ship-shifting world, Celine must research through the barren landscape of the ancient civilization to find her escape. Isolated and alone, she finds herself fighting tooth and nail for survival. Again and again, she's defeated, forced to restart her journey every time she dies.
Through relentless roguelike gameplay, you'll discover that just as the planet changes with every cycle, so do the items at your disposal. Every loop offers new combinations, forcing you to push your boundaries and approach combat with a different strategy each time. Brought to life by stunning visual effects, the dark beauty of the decaying world around you is packed with surprises.
From high-stakes, bullet hell-fueled combats to visceral twists and turns through stark and contrasting environments, we are going to explore, discover, and fight our ways through a journey where mystery stalks our every move. Designed for extreme replayability, the procedural world of Returnal invites us to dust off in the face of defeat and take on a new, evolving challenge with every rebirth.
And we've also got some information on Returnal's PS5 specific features. It sounds like the game is going to be making particularly extensive use of the DualSense controller's adaptive triggers and haptic feedback.
Of course, one of the features we know and love with the solid-state drives that are coming into these consoles is fast loading, because you will be able to jump through portals between worlds with the PlayStation 5's ultra-high-speed SSD, be able to get back into the action with near-instant load speeds, and they won't leave you waiting to restart after you die.
There'll be adaptive triggers, so you can switch instinctively between firing modes by using a single adaptive trigger. Go straight from aiming down sights to your gun's alternative fire.
And of course, that haptic feedback we keep hearing about, as in-game actions, big and small, will be sensible while exploring fragments of Celine's memories or one firing visceral alien weapons.
And the Tempest 3D audio tech, which I'm really excited for. You'll be able to hear the action from every direction in 3D audio. Bullets flying past you, enemies circling overhead, or unseen foes creeping up behind you.
Now, Returnal is coming to the PlayStation 5. There has yet to be a release date on this. We do expect it to come out in 2021. But knowing what the game has to offer and learning a little bit more, Kaisa, chat, are you guys excited for this game?
This game looks really sick. I never saw that movie that you said that it's like, what was that? It was like it's not Tom Cruise. Someone's like Returnal's just like
yeah, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah. So I haven't seen that, but it looks really exciting. I like how it's sci-fi. I also like how it's an older woman lead. I feel like I seldom see that. It's usually like, young adult women as the lead in video games, if anything, so a lot of people are like seeing like just a normal adult woman as the star of this game, like all for it.
I am right there with you. I think too, the excitement of this replayability factor that we already know comes with roguelike games, but on top of being the PlayStation 5 hardware, all of these features that come along with the PlayStation 5 hardware, kind of that excitement of the haptic feedback in the controller. Does that mean that there is this weapon lingering in some iteration of your rebirth that you've yet to get to that will be this new experience, not just in-game, but and feel too as well. So I wonder how much of that these developers have in their game, where it's just this layer upon layer of new thing to discover, both in your controller and in the game. And that's going to bring a lot of excitement just to wanting to continue to play Returnal, you know?
Totally. Yeah, I love hearing that it's designed for extreme replayability. You know, there seems to be a lot of variety. I like how with every loop, you know, something changes. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of, you know, things you might accidentally miss over, or a lot of things to explore. It just seems really fun overall. I think this is a, you know, a good way to utilize like video games. They can be larger than life. You can't have all these, you know, cool sci-fi elements that I think, you know, isn't utilized enough, honestly, in games.
And that is something that needs to be echoed even more. Like when we had the developers on from Quantum Error, you know, when you're telling stories within this science fiction reality, like go all out, have fun, explore, come up with things, like make it your own. Don't be afraid to put too much in. It's already too much. That's the setting. So, you know, do that. And it feels like these developers over at Returnal are in fact doing that.
I think so too, and I love to see more innovation. You know, like making the game your own, having your own ideas. When we're talking about Quantum Error, where like the meat falls off the bone of the zombie, we haven't really seen that in games, and it's like, why not? Because I think a lot of, you know, games just try to copy what's been done before, you know, whether intentionally or not. It's like the world is your oyster; you can do whatever you want. I also just love the guess of Capri Sun, that I squirted a Capri Sun into this mug instead of drinking from the pouch. I'm not drinking Capri Sun.
It's not a Capri Sun. And I've had straight water in my glass before, Guff. So like I said, I haven't had this in my mug. So try to think around there.
And my drink isn't as crazy exciting as I hinted at. It's just a pretty normal beverage. I love the fun guesses, but y'all are being too fancy. But I'm really hyped for Returnal. I hope we get, you know, maybe like a gameplay, or like extended gameplay kind of teaser for this. And also, you know, a more definitive. I don't think there's a release date out for this yet.
There isn't. They expect it late 2021. Yeah, 100%. You know, you mentioned being hype. One of the things that I don't think a certain developer is actually hyped for is their own game with those letters in it. Is Ubisoft has come out and addressed their battle royale, Hyper Scape, and they've got some choice words to say for it.
I love how they've come out and are like, Hyper Scape wasn't doing too well. Also, side note, yes, this is peach juice.
Hey!
Good guess, chat. Good guess, Kai. So, remember Hyper Scape? Ubisoft's entry?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Ubisoft's entry into the Battle Royale sweepstakes. Yeah, that went into open beta in July. The publisher seemed pretty thrilled with the response, and it was at the top of Twitch charts. You know, Tfue with like, I think like 100K viewers watching him play. It didn't really, do you think it really did anything for Battle Royales, Maroon?
No, it just reskinned it.
Yeah, and it just kind of showed up, and then, I don't know, I guess a lot of people seem to forget about it. So there was an update posted today where Ubisoft acknowledged that, quote, "We were not able to achieve the high expectations we set for ourselves with the full release on consoles that followed in August," and players felt the same way.
So because of that, Ubisoft is restructuring its development team into a cell-based format, similar to the setup used by developers at Rainbow Six Siege. Each development cell will focus on one of 5 pillars that Ubisoft has determined are the key priorities to a successful future for Hyper Scape.
One of these pillars is called combat comfort. They said, "We always intended for Hyper Scape to have a high skill ceiling, but it is clear from our data that the floor is also too high. This results in a difficult experience for new players. Currently, it is too hard to aim, track, and consistently damage players and eliminate them, especially on consoles."
One of these other pillars is onboarding. The game does not currently provide enough time and opportunities for new players to learn and succeed. That is extremely true. When you need to protect newcomers and provide training activities to help them become proficient with the game.
They also mentioned game modes. Their core game mode, Crown Rush, can be quite unforgiving, so they want to provide players with a variety of formats in terms of activity and match size. This will start with introducing respawn systems in the game and deathmatch style game modes, which we just heard from Apex Legends. We are also, this is Ubisoft speaking, we are also rethinking how we manage limited time modes and the player-based split that is required to support multiple modes at once.
Another pillar is player goals. Currently, there are not enough medium and long-term goals for players to stick around in Hyper Scape. We are going to introduce first the first version of our player ranking system in Season 2, and we will bring more progression systems and match-to-match flow improvements as well.
They mentioned crossplay. As while crossplay has always been intended for the game, they want to add it earlier than planned to help address the current issues of lobby size, which sounds like they're forced to go into crossplay because not enough people are playing the game.
And very broadly, Ubisoft's rundown of priorities paint a picture of the game that's trapped in a loop, too difficult to attract a large number of new players, and too shallow to keep experienced ones around for long. It was said back in July that the movement in Hyper Scape is intuitive and easy to pick up for newcomers, but all the fancy footwork in the world doesn't mean a thing if you're constantly struggling with mechanics and you can't actually hit what you're shooting at once in a while.
It's not a great place to be, but to Ubisoft's credit, it has a fairly solid track record of improving its games over the long run, even when they have less than ideal launches. Neither Ghost Recon Breakpoint nor The Division 2 made much of an impression when they first came out, but work on both has continued, and even the hugely successful Rainbow Six Siege had to take a season-long break in 2017 to get its house in order.
Now, it's of course no guarantee that Hyper Scape is destined to dethrone Fortnite or even Apex Legends. Mechanics can be fixed, but it's a bigger problem may actually be that there's nothing that really seems to make it stand out from the crowd, but at the very least is a fair bet that Ubisoft will give it a good shot.
So Ubisoft said, as you can see, all these pieces depend on each other to get where we want to go with Hyper Scape. We've started our work on these pillars and plan to release more frequent updates in Season 2 than in Season 1. We will also communicate often to keep you up to date on our progress. As always, we cannot do this without your valuable feedback, so keep it coming. Hyper Scape's second season begins on October 6th.
Right around the corner. If there are Hyper Scape players in here, tell us how you feel about it, because I played Hyper Scape for a little bit, and the first thing that they addressed was there was just not enough in the training system to actually make me feel like I could get a hang of this game before jumping in and getting destroyed by people who, you know, had just taken the rough beginnings of what Hyper Scape felt like they were.
That's the worst. As Legend says, Siege was a huge upgrade. Great game now. I've only heard great things about, Siege. I've heard The Division 2 is really fun. If they can turn around this game, that would be great. But it seems like there's a lot to work on. And I think a lot of people are thinking like, oh, well, Hyper Scape wasn't really anything special. Why should I play Hyper Scape? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and Legend went on to follow, like, I won one game and I uninstalled. What does that say about your Battle Royale?
That's awful.
Even Ubisoft is saying, like, we understand it's boring. And there's something to be said about, it's fast-paced and it just has this kind of feel to it that I haven't seen anywhere else. But then when you just really look at it as a Battle Royale, what makes yours different? And I really hope they can hone in on that and figure out what that is. Or they'll just have to accept, like, maybe we should just keep our focus on Siege, on games that are doing successful for them. And Hyper Scape might not be a game we really start to see more of as the time goes on.
It's so telling that Legend won a game and uninstalled. Like, usually when people win, they're like, oh, cool. I like being good at games. Yeah, another one. Let's go again. Versus like, oh, nah, I'm Gucci. I don't really want to play this anymore. I don't know what Hyper Scape brings to this table. It seems like they were about, like a lot of mobility, vertical movement and shooting, but it seems like it's too difficult. When watching some of the gameplay, I think overall it looked really cool, but the environment wasn't like so cool enough that was going to be enough to really draw me into the game. Someone said I didn't even hear about Hyper Scape. It came and went pretty quickly. It had, it kind of dominated Twitch for like a couple days and then it died off seemingly.
Yeah. I also noticed one of the problems, and this is anything frustrating. This is frustrating with any shooter. If I'm shooting a target and it's not registering that I'm shooting the target, I experienced that more than once. I'm less likely to play your game because that's exactly what my main objective is.
Yeah, isn't that the point of a shooter, to shoot stuff?
And that it takes the damage and then goes away after you shoot it enough.
Yeah.
There were moments where I was like, I'm shooting this person, and I'm dead. How does that work?
I've heard some complaints about that with Valorant as well, especially since, Riot and the devs have really, stressed that, like, every bullet you fire will register. A lot of people playing Valorant lately are like, not really, or there's still a delay, or, Valorant tried to, fix Peeker's advantage, but it hasn't really done so. And that's really frustrating if players, are good at these games and want to play a highly competitive shooter. If the bullets don't register, what's the point?
So we will keep our eye, because what is the point? if season 2 doesn't come with these changes that they're talking about that feel like, oh, cool, they're building on, what seemed to be a cool foundation. So hopefully they can turn it around, because I'm always a fan of something that feels new and exciting and actually lives up to it having success. So maybe Hyper Scape can find that in this next season's iteration. But something that we can find now is really awesome for all of you Twitch users out there is Twitch Soundtrack has debuted.
So Twitch's soundtrack feature was released today, and it's a new product that allows streamers to play music while they're live, or at least that's the simplest way to explain it. If the product works the way that Twitch claims it does, Soundtrack will be much more than just a way to play rights-cleared music, copyright-free music while you're broadcasting. It might change how you think about using music on Twitch entirely, says The Verge, which I'm skeptical about.
So the issue that Soundtrack is solving is pretty simple. Music is copyrighted. You can't use it while you're streaming unless you have the rights to those songs. If you do happen to use copyrighted music during a broadcast, there's not a whole lot Twitch can necessarily do because it's being played live. Now, if viewers make clips from broadcasts, however, or the VOD of the stream is left online, it is possible that the streamer will get a copyright strike from the original rights holder. Now, 3 strikes means a permanent ban from Twitch. It is also worth noting that VODs are automatically muted if they're found to contain copyright music. Twitch streamers were also hit with a wave of copy strikes from labels back in June, sometimes from years-old clips that they had no hand in making.
Which is why what Twitch's soundtrack actually does is interesting to a lot of users. It's a separate application that interfaces with your streaming software. It currently supports OBS, Streamlabs OBS, and Twitch Studio for now. Soundtrack separates the music stream into its own channel and broadcasts it simultaneously, but separately. That integration allows Twitch to automatically strip the music from the VOD of your live stream, because songs that are cleared for live use aren't necessarily also cleared for use in recordings. And at the same time, allows the site to do a lot of cool platform side things with the music itself. In a word, it solves the desktop audio problem.
So if you're watching a streamer who's using Soundtrack in their broadcast, you'll see some thoughtful additions from the Twitch product team. At the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of the stream, there's a widget that shows what song is currently playing, which updates live. And it also links to the artist's Spotify page in their Twitch channel if they happen to have one.
The implications of that particular decision, a lot of people think, are wild. Twitch is starting with a small group of labels and distribution platforms, including indie favorites like Dim Mak, along with bigger players like SoundCloud and DistroKid. The platform has also decided to curate playlists for specific moods, which means that the artists on those playlists will suddenly have an audience that's potentially as large as Twitch's audience. And it's not just playlists. Soundtrack also features libraries of music tuned to specific moods that they're calling stations. Everything you see on Soundtrack is cleared for use on air, whether that's tracks from playlists or deep cuts in the music library from which it's sourcing tracks.
All of this means that those artists, who may or may not be stars in their own right, have a chance to break out on an entirely separate platform, which is huge, especially considering how music is used on Twitch as an accompaniment to the action, whatever that action is, a little like a sound bed in a podcast.
Facebook Gaming has also recently announced its own music offering. It allows partnered streamers there to play music from major labels in the background of their broadcasts with some restrictions. For example, some tracks are restricted, though Facebook will not say what they are unless you play them on your stream. The company says that it's working to roll the feature out to all Facebook Gaming streamers, but it didn't give a specific date for that to happen.
I think this is an awesome feature to have the more that we get to see this. I loved what, back when people were complaining about, hey, I can't use this music, and then T-Pain, who streams on Twitch, was like, yo, use my music. Here it is. Here's a source to just use my music and play it, because he was one of those artists who recognized that's got to be pretty frustrating. There should just be the compensation for musicians on these platforms with the royalty rights that normally exist out there when people have access to their music while they're playing it. Some of these entities make enough money where that should just be the case.
T-Pain is so cool. I've also seen a wave of, a lot of artists and maybe smaller artists that aren't signed to a label, saying like, hey, you can use my tracks. But I'm personally not going to compile a list of all the obscure artists I've seen on Twitter that said I can use their tracks. I hope they're all going to use the soundtrack feature, so it's all in one place for me. I have heard, some criticism of this. People were saying that, well, if you use soundtracks in your broadcast and you record something, you won't be able to upload that to YouTube because it's clear for Twitch, but not YouTube. But this article seems to clarify that it will be recorded as kind of a separate audio channel. So you can separate it and you can still have, a clean recording of just your VOD.
I mean, we need more of that, or some sort of agreement that goes across all these platforms and allows this to not have to be the case for content creators. But if it is the case, how do you make it simpler and easier to deal with? This is a step in that direction. So for those of you who do stream and are going to use the Twitch soundtrack, when you do, let us know what your experience is like. If you do find an artist that you happen to enjoy and love, let us know. We'll throw that in here as well. I think that is something that is really cool, that we will have the feature of being able to learn about these new artists through this platform, even if it's just, I really like the gameplay, but man, what is this song?
What is this song though? Yeah, I hope it's, great exposure for these artists. Maybe we'll see some popular tracks on there. Personally, I used to think that copyright-free music was all like bad. I'm like, well, if it was good, then they would make money off of it. But I use Pretzel Rocked, which is like a copyright-free music service for streamers, and a lot of the tracks on there are really good. So I think this has like great potential. Yeah, I'm like, wow, this is really good. Why, like, this person should be more known, for whatever reason they're maybe not, or they just wanted to put out these tracks for free. I'm not sure. But I think it's good for both creators, and some of these musicians.
100%. And probably rounding off our hour is this story, which we find to be really interesting, but also important for anybody who's like, the RTX 3070's coming out soon, I want to get it. It's actually been pushed back, and the new date for the RTX 3070 is officially October 29th.
So Nvidia has delayed the launch of its upcoming GeForce RTX 3070 graphics card, so there's more stock available on launch day. In a blog post, the company admitted that the news may be disappointing to some, but said this shift will help our global partners get more graphics cards into the hands of gamers on launch day. The graphics card will now launch on October 29th rather than October 15th.
Now, the delay comes after Nvidia apologized for the stock shortages after the release of the 3080 graphics card last month. The company said it was just not prepared for the amount of demand of these new GPUs. I don't know why they weren't, but okay. So it did lead to the card selling out almost immediately. And the story that we did cover here on DGN where bots bought a bunch of those 3080s, but they now created this delay for them. So hopefully they'll have enough 3070s to satisfy the demand at the end of October.
With a starting price of $499, which is crazy low, the GeForce RTX 3070 is the cheapest of the 3-ampere powered graphics cards Nvidia announced at the beginning of September, alongside the RTX 3080 and RTX 3090. Nvidia says the RTX 3070 should match the performance of last generation's RTX 2080 Ti, which is wild because those were going for like $1,200, $1,300. Now it's going to be $499 for that same power, and is an average of 60% faster than the RTX 2070. These cards are going to sell out immediately too. I don't think they're going to be prepared for this.
Yeah. I mean, that increase is so crazy, and you're like, and it's $700 less than the previous iterations. Top tier. Like, oh my God, these things are gone. I'm already imagining they're not going to be available, but maybe and hopefully Nvidia takes a page out of PlayStation's playbook with, let's get links out to people, come in, submit that you want to pre-order one, get a unique link to you so that you can go in and buy it and have access to it, because we're going to imagine these things are going to get bought up really quickly and resold at a higher price, because that's just what people seem to do on the internet with these bot purchases.
Unfortunately so, and I'm sitting here wondering, like, I think I wanted a 3080. Should I wait for those? Should I just try to get a 3070? I don't know. It's all going to get sold out. I don't know. Yeah.
You're like, what choice do I make? And it's pretty much like, it doesn't matter. They're gone, Right,
yeah. And I was gonna, buy a new graphics card. I was gonna buy the 2080 Ti, but now why would I? But if these cards aren't in stock either, I'm just like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my PC. I'm still planning on upgrading it, but That's still up in the air for now.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure it out. Now, I will go ahead and say this because we are at the end of the hour, and What's in the Mug for me didn't get guessed, but it is a type of tea. So with the last minute, as we close out the show and talk about what we're playing this weekend, if you want to throw in some tea choices, I'll hit it right away. Trust me, just think broadly in teas and you might get it. But Kaisa, what are you going to be playing this weekend? And everyone in chat, what are you playing this weekend?
Well, I'm going to be playing Among Us probably later today. I'm going to try to start stream a little earlier than usual and actually, play Among Us for the first time. Maybe, not confirmed, but I would like to. What about you? I'm
going to be playing some Squadrons. Kai got it with the green tea. Literally have never had green tea in the mug, so whoop whoop to you. No, I'm going to be playing Star Wars Squadrons. I'm actually going to be streaming it here probably in like 30 minutes to an hour. Just going to take care of some stuff and then hop on. Played it last night. Seriously. So much fun. Oh my God.
And that is twitch.tv/Marrone__. I'm just going to drop that in the chat. Hey. Turn your notifications on. Marrone's going to be on later today.
Playing some of that. We'll see how it goes. I think I'm going to move through the campaign first, but I do have some friends that are getting it as well. So if they hop on and we jump into the PvP element, we'll see how that goes. Hey, Bad Axe, thank you for being here and a part of this stream. But for the daily gaming news hour and for this week, we are at the end.
We are at the end. We are live from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific every weekday. We put our VODs. Our VODs are on Twitch. You can find them on YouTube as well. There's !Marrone and Kaisa to get our social links. We are on the internet a lot.
We are. We're pretty active. So definitely come say hello on our social medias. Definitely come back and join us, like she was saying, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. As next week, we'll, of course, be jumping into some more topics and conversations. There was one that recently did come up to be on the lookout for on Monday, which is more information surrounding these misconduct and allegations out of Ubisoft and learning some recent information out of an internal survey that's come out.
Which is wild. So we're going to delve into that and also, get to our mailbag questions as well. We haven't forgotten about those. So you can always send your suggestions or your topics or your questions to our mailbag.
And thank you so much, all of you amazing human beings in the chat, those watching at home who follow, like, subscribe, all of you. Like I say every day, none of this is impossible without you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart as well as Kaisa's. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you so much for joining us for our news show. We really appreciate it. And we're going to see some of you later on during our streams. But for today's Daily Gaming News, October 2nd, I am Kaisa.
I am Marrone. We will see you all next time, everybody.
See ya.